Good evening to all of our participants who have come to get their queries addressed and untangle the knots of misunderstanding surrounding the massive corporate world that we as undergraduates hope to enter in the future. I'm Rotaract Samadhi Pereira.
And I'm Retractor Rahma Zahri. Emerging Minds is the fourth session of the Project Overcome organized by the Professional Development Avenue of the Rotaract Club of University of California to sharpen the soft skills and technical skills of the future employees to outshine the competition. This journey of 3 sessions is indeed a memorable one for us as well as everyone who joined us to make it a remarkable spark among the pages of the memory book.
Now, we'd like to share our joy with you too. So here's a glimpse of the Overcome journey.
Controversial things, right? So it was that. Okay, and then you study and get 65 marks.
With all of us, and it was a great pleasure to have you here with us.
A professional email would depict your player as an employee, and to ease your task and be the efficient individual of an organization, the knowledge of Excel plays an important role. So, for email drafting and Excel, presented by the Managing Director of White Solution Private Limited, Senior Lecturer and Visiting Lecturer, Mr. Sasanka. Welcome you to today's session and thank you for being with us here today.
We are going to talk about two major topics, Microsoft Excel and email formatting. Clear rules from selected cells or either you can select clear rules from entire sheet. For the VLOOKUP function, we should provide 4 parameters. First one is turn on is location responder or authority. Okay.
Learning recap and fabulous chance to get amazing answers will be starting in a moment. Question and reading the answers. Memorable day, you and us as well. To it, a report is a source of decision making. On the other hand, a presentation enhances the professionalism begin with. So, the Professional Development Avenue of the Rotaract Club of the University of California presents the 3rd session of Project Overcome, Master the Artistry of Report Writing and Presentation, presented by Mrs. Shanaguna, HR Business Partner, London Stock Exchange Group, Sri Lanka.
Just wanted to kind of
to be great.
Your valuable guidance, time, and effort.
The backstage is always a venue of rush and not to forget the fun too. Here we are, present in the fourth session of the Project Overcome Emerging Minds, presented by Mr. Rohan Jaivira, Assistant Vice President of John Keys Holdings, co-founder and director of Entire Solutions, and he is also a lecturer.
Need to have at least some kind of direction or ambition. You don't have to work extra hard for it, but at least a direction of where you're going. I think one of the biggest challenges and one of the biggest setbacks in your life is being complacent, being comfortable. Some people work in the same company. I think they become comfortable because when you have that, I think you will do amazingly well in whatever you do. But I think ultimately you have to start believing that you have the chops to pull it off.
Hello, Mr. Rohan. How are you doing, sir?
I'm really good. Thank you for having me. It's a little weird looking, looking at myself on this thing. It's yeah. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure. So good to see you guys. Wow, look at this. I mean, it's really nice. Thank you.
Yes, sir. So we warmly welcome you, sir, for today's session, and thank you for being here with us today. We also welcome all of our participants and invite all of you to stay with us. And also, you can drop your questions in the chat box, and later on in the session, we will allow you to voice out your concerns as well.
So, without further ado, let us begin the session, Emerging Minds. Before we move on to the question, sir, could you share your thoughts on building a successful career life?
So I think for me to tell you that, I need to provide a bit of a context, right? I think the context is the fact that I come from very below average kind of family, where I was very fortunate that very early on, I figured out the value of kind of wanting to do something and be meaningful in your life. Like it was like that desire that to be relevant, to be able to be driven, to be able to make yourself matter. At important to make something out of you, that type of thing. And then I got 35 for mathematics one time in like O-level time, and I felt really embarrassed about that, and it drove me, and then I ended up doing mathematics and getting into engineering faculty. So I think we are very oftentimes look at people and look at only the headline, but we don't really spend time to understand the entire story. For me, one of the very important things is that with young people is that don't get into a lot of headlines, like wait for a moment, take a bit of a time, study the entire story, and it tells you a very different part of it. Like, for me, the reason why I mentioned that I got 35 out of 100 for mathematics is because when people say that, oh, I went to engineering, people say like, wow, that guy must be very smart and good in maths. No, it's nothing to do with that. It's just that when you are driven, when you have the desire, you somehow try to make time and effort to get what you want. For me, it had been a very important thing. So I got into engineering faculty, did electronic and telecom engineering from Katubedda, from probably the #1 university. Kalani is #2. Right? So I'd love to get reaction from your audience here for this. Right? So then I was very fortunate. I think I always talk about this. I think people who have listened to me before knows that the importance of having a great mentor at a very early on in your career. It's not the company, it's not the role you do, but finding someone like really good who invest their time to make you better. That's someone that you look up to and say that I know that this guy has some stuff and I would like to learn from him. So I think first 5 years, I was very fortunate. I had a couple of very good managers who shaped me and formed me. I also got the opportunity to work for great companies, like especially multinational companies where, I did work that really nurtured me and fed my thirst to get better and all that type of thing. So as a result, it's been a thing that have happened I'm a little unconventional. I've said this I say this in public. I think people who have listened to me knows that love what you do, never love the company. So I've been always following that. If you look at my CV, I worked in so many companies and people like, wow, this guy is not loyal or whatever. I think loyalty is a very different currency. We, in this current day and age, we work in a very different currency, which is about performance, which is about, integrity and commitment to the role that you do. So I think, those are some of the things that I have kind of worked for me. I look forward to hearing a lot of questions because, I can take the entire 1 hour and tell you this, but I don't think that's not the purpose here. But I have a very unconventional opinion about building a career, very unconventional opinion about what you should be doing and etc. So love to hear the questions and take it from there. Did I answer your question, by the way?
Yes, sir. So that was a very insightful thought on career life, sir. Thank you so much for that. And the very first question of the day, sir. Since employees are now working from home, some employers might expect employees to be available 24/7. So as an employer, what are your thoughts on this?
When I was working for, not to brag, but I work for Google. Some of you might know that my background, right? So I work for Google, and during that time, that was about 7 or 8 years ago, they spoke very importantly about the change of working hours to a concept called working moments, right? What is working moments? Working moments is where, because by virtue of having access to these mobile phones and mobile devices, and our work is following us around, we don't, unlike our fathers or grandfathers, where they had to go to work and work during the working hours and then come back home. The work hours are not defined by the time we spend in office. Working hours are defined by how much time we are engaging on responding and doing productive work. And a lot of times today, we are measured not by the effort, we are measured by the outcome. Now, so there are people who will study the entire year and get a C, and there are people who would do a 2-night crash course and get an A. But finally, you are measured for the outcome, not whether you studied all year or just 2 nights, right? So I think these are the changing landscape of objectives or expectations of organizations and from employees. So in that context, what a lot of organizations are tilting towards is about getting the outcome and providing working moments for employees, not working hours, right? Now, my boss doesn't care whether I take a nap during 2 o'clock in the afternoon. Yes, I work 24 hours, so to speak, but I also take a nap at 2 o'clock in the afternoon because I'm stressed out and I need a break, right? But that's the evolution that is happening. So I think today what's going to happen is that we are seeing that organizations will move to a point of more outcome-driven engagement with employees. Your compensation and package might move to that kind of a situation. And I think also they will move to more like providing the right technology and all that, where there will be a lot more measurement. Now, I don't know, I've mentioned this somewhere. I have been having this software on my computer for last maybe 6-7 years, where I can, on a daily or a weekly, I can look at and say how many hours I've spent on what products, what applications, like how many hours I spent on social media, how many hours I've spent on Teams, how many hours I worked on Chrome, how many hours I worked on Outlook. So I have that thing. My company doesn't need that. I have that. So that gives me an indication of how I am performing against the benchmark I set for myself. I think over a period of time, what you will start seeing is that even organization will start applying those to employees, not to control them, so that they have a metric to measure people, to say, okay, these are the number of hours he put in and this is the outcome he generated, type of a situation. The problem, I think, is that people don't worry about these tools and stuff like that, because a lot of bosses will use it for controlling. If you do that, that's wrong. But if you use it for the right intention, I think that's where it's going to go, because I don't think my boss cares today whether I'm in Colombo, whether I'm in Gaul, or whether I'm in out of the country, as long as certain responsibilities are met and integrity is kept very high. Integrity is very important today in the workplace. Trust and integrity is one of the two most important currencies in the job.
That was a very comprehensive reply, sir. So it's time to.
Yeah, too long. What you said, what you're nicely telling me is which it's too long, right?
No, so it was indeed a very insightful and comprehensive session and a different perspective for us to think.
Okay,
So
good. Go ahead.
it's time to listen to our second response, right, Samadhi?
Yes, Rahma. So, sir, employees may demonstrate a lack of interest in their work if they are not promoted over time, or if an internship does not lead to a full-time position. What methods do you take to keep your employees motivated, or what would you do in a situation like this?
Okay, so I think the key here is like today I have 2 people working for me. I have 3 people, and before that I had 10 people. Like that, there are different people, sets of people. I think what you really need to understand is that as a manager, as a people's leader, the fundamental problem we have with a lot of organizations is that people become people manager not because they are good at managing people, just because they stayed in the company for long enough and got promoted, right? So then when they get promoted, they must be able to do the task, but they are absolute not so great managers. And we are oftentimes organizations, I'm constantly seeing that. I'm sure all of you will hear that. There's a saying, people don't leave companies, people leave their bosses. And that's an absolute fact, right? I have had situations where people have stayed because they love the boss, including me. I have stayed because the company wasn't exciting, but I wanted to work for that boss, and I've stayed because of the boss more than for the company. And I also have left very lucrative jobs just because I hated the boss. Right? So these things will happen. And I think for me, the philosophy I follow is this, right? The expectations of young people like you all who are coming on to the environment, like a corporate environment, the expectation you all had 10 years ago versus the expectations you all are having today are very different. You obviously had the privilege of internet and all that, and a lot of information and TikTok and all that. We never had. So what is happening today is that if you look at the 3-4 parameters that are really, really important for young people, I think first of all, people don't want to come for a job. They want to come for something a little bit more than a job. What it means is that a leader has to articulate a purpose, right? People will only do a job for money, but people will go out of the way to do something for a purpose. That's the reason why great leaders can get their followers to die for them, right? Purpose is important. So as a manager in the company, whether you have 10 people or 3,000 people or 100,000 people, it's very important as a leader, you're constantly articulating the purpose, not what you do, why you do it, right? Number one. Number two, a lot of young people, I think today want open communication and very honesty. Like I am very, very upfront with people, right? Like when you work, especially with girls and boys or whoever, I always say I'm very blunt and very upfront. Sometimes people don't like that, but over a period of some people like that. I say, listen, you don't have anything I need. Here's what I want. This is what it is. This is the reason why I'm expecting. I'm very, very upfront about expectation, very open. When someone messes up, I don't try to sugarcoat it. I say, listen, you messed up, go back and this is what you need to do to fix it. So, but the thing is, and the third thing is that when you criticize, you have to criticize what you can do better, or when you have an answer only. I can't just say, hey, listen, I'll take Samadhi's name right here, like Samadhi, you did this wrong. That is not a good enough. Like I have to say, Samadhi, this is what you did wrong. This is how you should fix it. Or if I were you, this is how I would have done it. Right? That's really, really important. The third one I think is a lot of people come to work for friendships, because today we live in a world where we have so much of a distance and we are craving for human connections as well. And I think as an employer, as a team leader, you are responsible for fostering a culture of great friendships. Today, I think I would like to think that a lot of people who work for me, or whether a lot of kids who have learned from me, have remained as friends with me. I mean, I met a couple of people just last week as well. We are bouncing off, we have this little bit of Instagram chats, and they insult me, I insult them. We are friends. Like, yes, they work for me, and also they were my students, but now the relationship has evolved. So those are, I think, very, very important things as a leader you have to provide in your team and organization. And the other one very important is that people want to see progress. When I say progress, it's not really money, it's not really about designation, but am I learning something? Am I getting myself better? How can I get exposure? How can I get progress to myself? So I think for a leader today, people's manager, those are the things that it's really important to keep focusing on. And I think that will, I think, helps a lot. Those are the things I think are important.
So that was actually a very impressive answer. Like you said, we should point out the mistakes, then we will realize what went wrong and all. So I think, Rakma, you can.
It's like saying
move on.
sorry, right? Sorry, Samadhi. One of the things is that there, so when you say sorry to someone, there's a say I'm sorry, or you have to say I'm sorry, it's my fault. This is what I will do to fix it. That's a sorry. Otherwise, a sorry is just words, right? Just words doesn't mean anything. That's why I don't know what people think, that people get upset when someone says something. Words don't break you or make you or nothing, right? Just disappear, right? People shouldn't get upset about words, unless there's some real meaning and context behind it. Sorry, I interrupted you. Go ahead.
No, so that was also very impressive. I think everyone would like that answer as well.
Yeah.
So I think, Rakma, you can ask the next
So
question.
moving on to our next question, that
Yes.
what strategies do employees use to deal with the problem of professional isolation, sir?
Wow, Rahma, I don't know what you are just asked me. There's just way too much English words in there. Right? Professional isolation. What does that mean?
When
Yeah.
An employee feels isolated for a bit of cornered from the rest of the employees, or feel
Right.
not suiting into the team.
Yeah.
So,
I think it's real. It's first of all, as a leader, as a people manager, one thing is that you shouldn't allow that to happen in the first place as much as possible. It's like this. Now, what I see with organization is that as a leader, you see the world in a certain way inside your company, inside your team. Inside the team, the peer group has a little bit of an interesting chemistry going on, right? The philosophy I follow is that I don't mind my team staying together and fighting me, saying, like in a sense, but I want to see the unity among that team. Even to the extent that they have to fight me, I want them to fight me, that as a unit. For me, I want that for my team. And I've said this very publicly as well. So if you start constantly building that kind of a culture where everybody got each other's backs, I think this isolation part comes less. Now, the way that you can avoid that, one of the things when I try to hire is that I do a couple of things, right? First of all, today we had 2 interviews. I obviously conduct the interview, but my team members were also there, right? Because ultimately I told my team, you guys have to tell me whom to hire, right? Because the reason is, I might, as the manager, will work a lot, but they have to work with that person on a daily basis, on every day, on emails, and even if they hang out or go for drinks or go for eating out, whatever, ice cream or whatever, they have to hang out, right? So this is a principle I learned from Google as well. Google, when they interview, the interviews are done by the people who you have to work with on a daily basis, not your boss, because your boss you have to work with, but less, right? So when you build, and people like to hire people they like to work with, and they can progress and learn from, right? So I think, first of all, you have to build the team accordingly. Second of all, as a manager, if you constantly build the unity among your team members, then I think this cornering and isolation doesn't happen. I think if that happens, say in that, like something happen, it does happen, I think then you have to immediately address that situation. One is, I don't know the scenario why it could happen. Obviously the medicine will vary depending on the symptoms and the root cause, why that isolation happened, right? Is it because that person betrayed someone trust, or is it because everybody else were working hard and this guy was not pulling their weight, or is it because he basically had a ideological type of a thing? So I'm very clear about, like, even for example in my team, I say there are certain things let's not discuss, like for example politics, right? Or things like religion, because these are conversation everybody has a very serious personal opinion about, and I don't think anybody has the right to judge, and there are no wins, and ultimately you can always end up having an unnecessary argument and debate which nobody is the winner. So these are some of the things inside the team. I think, you can have your opinion about anything, but here we are here for one purpose. The purpose is, here's the purpose I have brought you about progressing the company. Ultimately, end objective is how do we progress the company forward, the team forward, and deliver the results. And at the end of the day, you have to say, I have earned the money that the company is paying me. Right? And I think when you do that, you can reduce isolation. I don't want to give you an answer because that answer may not fit in to reasons, because without knowing the reasons why that isolation happened. But as a manager, avoidance is always better than trying to find a cure. So if you do the right things, what I said about from the hiring and nurturing the culture of unity, all of that in the team, I think you will actually reduce a lot of that risk of isolation.
That was a unique solution to address that problem. So in the perspective of being a team leader indeed. So over to you, Samadhi, for the next question.
Yes, thank you, Rahma. And sir, what attributes do you look in your staff when it comes to working together?
What attributes to, so here's the thing, a lot of people think degrees matter, right? Listen, I think there are few degrees I care about, unless you're like, if it's a STEM degree, like science, technology, maths, and engineering. For me, every other degree is the same, right? It's just, it's a basic skill set, right? Unless you have a very specialized skill set. So when you have a specialized skill set, it's different, but everybody else, if I hire, what I really look for, a couple of things. One is very important, trust. Especially when we are working in this virtual environment, I'm not going to check up on you and find out, are you working? I don't care. I don't want to be having that problems in my head as a people's manager, right? So I will always say that trust is, I have, every time you join, if, for example, Rama, if you join my team tomorrow, I say, you have 100% trust with me. Everything you say, I will trust. It is up to you to not to ruin that. So if I see that you are not keeping up that part, right? Like, so for example, you say you'll come out to a meeting at 11:30, you turn up at 12, right? You say that you'll send me this report tomorrow, but you didn't send, you don't send it to me. Little by little, my trust level comes down, right? So for me, I start with the assumption that I can trust you 100%. It's up to you to retain that. Right? So trust is very important. Integrity is really important. Respect is very important. I'm very clear about anyone who joins my team. Hard work is an absolute essential. Right? Hard work doesn't mean working for the company. Hard work means, I will throw a lot of things. The team who works for me right now knows I send them YouTube videos to watch. I get them registered in all kinds of different stuff. I have asked them to do Google trainings. Right, which is not really relevant for them, but it's not relevant for them now. But I know that within the next 5-10 years, they will be grateful that they know I asked them to do copywriting, because these are some of the very important skill sets in the current modern workplace that is not taught anywhere. Schools don't teach you, universities don't teach you. Presentation skills, ability to speak well, right? So I think for me, when I say I give you a lot of work, isn't really about, okay, this is the company work, but also like development work, teamwork, a lot of things. So for me in my team, those are like the discipline, turning up for meetings on time. I'm very sharp. I turn up for meetings right on time. You can ask my team anytime. So I expect the same thing from those people, and I don't expect excuses. If there's a problem, I want people to very openly communicate and say, I want to take a day off. Go ahead. I don't mind that, but be open about it. I want people, I've told my team, like, if you want to go and hang out with your boyfriend or girlfriend during an afternoon, don't lie to me. Just say, listen, I'm going to go, and I understand. And that's part of everybody's life. Like, if I want to take my wife out for lunch, I want to be able to do that. The work should not get in the way of doing that. You understand? So I think that transparency is really important, so that we understand and we can build trust together, right? I think the rest of it happens. The rest of it is easy. Yeah.
Yes, I think that was an insightful response. I think it added a value to all of our lives. So
I
Rahman,
always say over communicate
over
to my team, right? Because for me, I have this courtesy. Even if I go to buy something like in a work day, if I have to step out and go to like for a half an hour, if I have to go and buy something from a retail like Kiehl's or somewhere and come back home because my house didn't have something, I WhatsApp my boss and tell him like, listen, I'm stepping out for 30 minutes. I'll be out for on email. Just call me if you need anything. I don't have to do it. He asked me, why do you do it? I said, no, I want to make sure he knows. It's courtesy. It's what we call professional courtesy. One of the things I will tell you, any people manager will tell you, is not knowing is the thing that any manager hates the most. Not knowing what's going on. Right? A lot of people think when you grow higher and higher in an organization and when you have managing more and more people, you have all the answers. You don't have the answers. You expect your team to have the answers and you expect them to work with you on those answers. So you want to know that your team is in sync with you all the time. You understand?
yes, sir. I think communication and hard work is something that we all should build
Absolutely.
as an employee.
Oh, absolutely.
Yes.
There's no substitute for hard work. And I think people grossly underestimate the value of it. I think there's this assumption that people think that it's just easy. The problem is like, how many people we have on Instagram who call themselves influencers and public figures, right? I mean, the problem is money was easy for a while. And I think they are setting the very wrong precedents about what it really takes to build a long-term longevity in a career. All right.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I think so.
Yeah. Can you not call me sir? You can call me Rohan.
Okay.
Yeah.
Our next question is, what role do technical abilities and a passion for technology play in the corporate world?
When you say technical ability, what do you mean by that? Because for me, the technical ability are twofolds. One is like learning to code in a particular language or be able to design something in a particular, that's a technical skill as well. Is that what you're referring to or something else?
That if you could explain on that as well, so it would be wonderful. And also the IT side, which we have to cope up with you as the corporate world is getting more digitalized.
Yeah.
In the future.
Yeah. So I'll would you mind repeating the first question again so that I can just gather my thought?
So what role do technical abilities and a passion for technology play in the corporate world?
Okay. Technical skills really do matter. As I said, if you're hiring a particular role, if I want a software developer, I have to hire a person with that skill set. Right? I am a firm believer, unless a role demands a particular skill set, like I need someone who can do Photoshop, I have to hire someone who knows Photoshop, for example, right? A simple explanation, right? If I need someone who knows AngularJS, I need to hire someone with AngularJS. If I need a statistician, I need to hire a statistician. So then the technical skill set has a higher weightage, and the rest of the things, he may not be the greatest communicator, he may not be the, all of that are little lesser in weightage. Right, but don't ever for a moment think that you are the technical star and everything else is rubbish, you will get hired. No, I mean, others matter as well, but the weightage is that. The other side of it, what I think is all the other jobs, for me, to be very honest with you, when I hire people, as I said, I trust, skill, attitude, discipline. Those are because if you look at the environment, today's corporate environment, a lot of skill sets can be taught, technical skill sets. Like if someone comes into an organization who doesn't know Microsoft Azure, which is an important skill set today in cloud computing, we can teach them. It's great if they have it, but still we can teach a lot of things. SAP, we can teach them, because those specific technology skill sets, a lot of people out of the university may not have, right? But here's what is important. A person who comes in has to come with the attitude to willingness to learn something new and adapt and constantly help themselves to get better. Right? Sometimes I have come across people who comes with the saying, I only know this, I only came to do this, I don't want to do anything else. And if you come with that attitude, then you are obviously not going to last anywhere. Right? So technical skill, that's the way I look at it. A lot of organizations today have tremendous amount of like training, Coursera, all these different things available. So if you are coming in as a new employee, you have a 6 months probation, a management training program, whatever, which is at the beginning of your career. I think if you follow those programs and if you do that yourself, you're technically competent enough, right? Unless your specific organization is hiring with a very specific skill set at a slightly senior level. That's one. Second one is about digitization. What is the specific question you have? Like the corporates are getting digitized. So here's the thing. I'll give you an answer. Maybe you can add if I don't answer the question properly. Digitization is not a conversation anymore, right? Like water, when you open the tap, you want water. When you open, switch on the light, the electricity should be there. So conversation is no longer about what level of digitization is here. It's like air you breathe, it's there. If you are not adaptable to that, you're gonna be left out. It's a choice you have to make, right? I mean, I chose to be in digital because of different reasons. I don't consider myself as a hugely strongly technical person, but I have a significant balance between understanding technology and how that technology can adapt to a business, right? So I think that is the understanding people need to come and demonstrate, right? And I think if you do that, I think you're good enough.
Thank you again, sir, for that amazing answer we got for that question about the technical abilities you should have, but most importantly, the readiness to learn. So moving on to our next question. Over to you, Samadhi.
So, sir, how does management encourage people to speak up when they disagree with the decision? And what happens when an employee makes a mistake?
Okay, employee making a mistake is a way of life. I have never, listen, I always say this to, at least to my team, right? I always say, I have no problem you screwing up as much as you like, right? You're allowed to mess up anytime for anything. Two rules. One, you're allowed to make the same mistake only once, a mistake only once. You can't be repeating that mistake. That means you haven't learned, right? Number one. Number two is, as long as you don't bankrupt the company, and I make mistakes, even at my age and with 20 plus years of work experience. I mean, we make mistakes. That's the way we learn. And I'll tell you something about making mistakes. The mistakes you learn by, the things you learn by making mistakes tend to last in our heads for longer time. Like, for example, I'll give an example. One time I stayed up for 3 nights in a row. And one day I was driving back, I fell asleep and I got into a major accident. Luckily, nobody got injured. It's the car got condemned, right? And that day onwards, even if I want to, I can't sleep in a car, right? Because it's in my head. It's repeating that the mistake I made, right? But because I made that, I mean, obviously that's an extreme example, right? Don't do that. But what I'm saying is, I think learning from these mistakes tend to last long, and that is what really shape you. And the way you can make mistakes is by doing something new. And I think today organizations, I don't know why people even ask this question, because in organizations that's kind of given. Any progressive organization today in Sri Lanka, making mistakes is given and nobody gets penalized for it, right? I mean, we have seen a lot of mistakes everywhere. I make mistakes, my team has made mistakes. No problem. That's fine. I always tell my team, I mean, as long as you are accountable, you say that, listen, I made a mistake. This is what I'm doing to fix it. I'm sorry. The 3 components of it, right? And that's all. And as long as you don't make the mistake again and again, great. I think that's what. What's the first part of your question?
How does management encourage people to speak up when they disagree with a decision?
I mean, I don't know. I mean, maybe I don't know whether because I work for different companies and whatever my experience. I mean, I think today my team can come and say, Rohan, you're a bloody idiot. I mean, I have, you're an idiot. Don't do this shit. I mean, open communication, right? That's what we said. And then I don't get upset. I don't have an ego requirement where people need to put me up and say, oh my God, Rohan is the bomb. That's bullshit. And as I said, I don't use my designation so much, all of that. And today, I think people are very open about this stuff, and people don't expect this undue like this respect or whatever as a thing. I mean, as I said, I want to be friends with my team. I try to build it. Obviously, I have 20 plus year age gap, so some of the topics they talk about I can't relate to, right? But I think I would assume that my team is able to come up to me and say you are a bloody idiot, and I would not take it. I would not get upset. Number one, I would not hold it against him. I mean, that's all right. And it's fine. I actually like it if people communicate to me like that. It's awesome. Yeah.
Yes,
I mean, yeah.
Yeah, communication is something that's really important. I think it was a very informative response. And now it's your turn to voice out your concerns. So if you are feeling comfortable, you all can raise your hand. So we will give you an option to unmute yourself and ask a question. And if you don't feel comfortable enough, you can put your questions in the chat box.
Okay, now we wait for everybody to. Nobody's going to ask questions, Samadhi. We all can go off to Friday night, watch the cricket match as soon as possible. Right? Hansika has sent this thing.
Yes.
Yes, we have a question from Hansika. So, what are the survival advices you can give to an intern who joined a company recently?
I think I don't like the term you used, Hansika, here called survival. I don't think there's anything called survival in a corporate, because survival is if you're going to die. Like, I mean, if you have got corona and you're in ICU, that's survival. Or you met with accident. I mean, corporate is it's a job. Ultimately, it's a job. Don't ever let the company or the job you do define you. That's very important. Give your heart, give your hard work, all of that. But for me, I always live my life like tomorrow. If I lose my job, I'm still going to be okay. I'll find a job. I'll apply. I'll struggle a little bit because I don't have money, but I'm okay. I'm going to be okay. But while I'm here, I'll put my 100% blood, sweat, and tears to make sure that I earn every cent I get. I will work hard to make sure the company progresses. The tasks that have been assigned to me done very well, not up to the level that my bosses expect, but even to above level, because I have seen a level that is above, and I want to be able to deliver at that level because I had foreign exposure and all that. You get what I'm saying, right? So it's always like meeting a benchmark you have set for yourself. It's not about others, right? It's about you. As an intern, I think when I see a lot of young people come with the dudes syndrome. I don't know whether you heard about dudes syndrome. You heard about dudes syndrome? No, right? So D is delusional, ungrateful, in denial, entitled, and selfish. Right? As long as you kill those 5 characteristics in you, I think you're going to be fine. Nobody likes. Listen, I think when you come into an organization, I made this mistake, right? You see a lot of things wrong in the company, right? But the situation is that you just joined. You're like 3 months in the job, right? You haven't earned the right to criticize the way the company has grown and given you internship unless you spend enough time to understand why it is like that, or you go up to a level where you're in a senior position. Now you can change things. Because I always say criticism for the sake of criticism is so easy. Everybody does that. But can you give a better answer? The way that that particular organization is broken, there must be a reason for it. Now, if you don't like it, you can leave. But while you are there, especially as an intern, don't assume that you know more about that business or industry you just got into more than the people who have been doing that business for years. That is being entitled. That is being, a little bit egoistic, right? Just because you read it in a YouTube, you read it in a book, or you watched a YouTube clip. No, the real world is different than YouTube and movies and everything else. So I think people need to spend a bit of a time to understand. My recommendation is put your head down, learn as much as possible. Organization, culture, corporate structure, process, politics in the organizations, learn that. Invest the time to learn that. Don't think you have all the answers as you walk in. Anything that comes out as being too egoistic. And after you do that, you can decide how you can give very constructive feedback, and especially when you should give a feedback, right? And it also depends on organizations. Some organizations don't want their interns to say anything, just do the job and get out, right? There are some organizations who wants you to be a lot more than an intern. So it all depends on what kind of opportunity you have, right? But put your head down. Don't assume you know more. Be grateful. You got an internship. Give credit to those people who are running a business, rightly or wrongly. And if you stay humble, stay hungry, as to quote Steve Jobs, I think we are going to be fine.
That answer would have been important to many of our participants today who had this same question.
Yeah. I mean, listen, we all bitch about stuff what is wrong. You go out with your peer group, your other interns and all that, and bitch and whatever about the company. But when you come in through the door, because we all need to vent, right? We all need to. But I even encourage my team, go out and bitch about me. Like Rohan is a bit of a, whatever, right? It's important. You need to vent out your frustrations, and everybody has frustrations about the role they do. Whether you're an intern or whether at my level, everybody has frustrations about things that are not working properly, not working as the way it should be. Things can get better. Everybody has these things, and that's normal in workplace. That's normal in life. But the way you manage and the way you demonstrate understanding towards that is what the key is. Yeah.
Thank you for that answer again, sir.
Sure.
And, do please put in your drop in your questions in the chat box, or you could always raise your hand and you'll get
No questions.
To
Samadhi and Rama, we can.
So Sasanka wants to. Yes.
Yeah.
Sasanka, you can.
I thank you for the opportunity, and thanks for the Rotaract Club of Kalani University for organizing this. Rohan, just to provoke some thoughts, I want to ask this question. Now, I have a belief about building a career. Either you need to become a generalist or a specialist. Yeah, you need to decide what sort of a path that you want to take in any field that you are in. Yeah, either you become a generalist or become a specialist. Any thoughts on this avenue?
Interesting question. So it's like this. I think the first thing you have to ask yourself, Sasanka, is what does success look like for you? Do you want to be like Steve Jobs, Elon Musk type of a thing? Or, do you want to be your mother or father's level of success or little above that? Or what is that level, right? So as a result, the way that you position yourself as success, and everybody is entitled to believe on what that success look like, right? So I have a very meaningful way that I define what my success is, right? So we don't have time to get into that. We'll do that some other time, but you have to do that. And first of all, you do that. Then ask yourself, how do I achieve that? I think then this idea about whether you need to be a specialist or generalist will dilute a little bit, and it gives you a much more clearer. And when you say that what success look like isn't about money, don't make it about money, because there are many ways to make money, but without having a career. Make it about like, what kind of a level, what kind of organization. Do you want to be an entrepreneur? Do you want to be running a multi-billion-dollar company across Asia Pacific? What does that look like for you, right? And then you try to kind of reverse engineer that a little bit. What I have seen with specialists and generalists are successful over a period of time, because specialization takes time to acquire, and the more you acquire it, you become more and more valued. However, if you have a specialized skill in a stagnant industry, no matter how specialized you are, the amount of success, financial success you will gain will cap off at a certain level, right? So you can be a specialist in because I don't have a proper example, I apologize for anyone. Like if you're in construction, which is a very boring kind of an industry, very mature, stagnant industry, no matter how specialized you are, beyond a certain point, you won't see anything beyond that. But if you become a specialist today, for example, in a very specific technology area or whatever, you have the capacity to go to Singapore, work in multinational companies. I mean, say, for example, you become a specialist in autonomous or, technologies or something like that, or augmented reality or artificial intelligence or robotics or something. I mean, there's huge opportunities for you to build that. That's a specialization part. The generalists are also important for organization. Usually in the long term, generalists if you acquire business understanding, they become more and more value to the company, because specialists can't run businesses. Generalists need to come in to understand people, because running a business means like you are looking at about 10-20 different pieces, bringing it together. But your ability to be a great generalist is your ability to understand how businesses operate, how does sales work, how does marketing work, how do you really bring all these synergies, how does people work, and bring all those skill set together and to drive an outcome, right? And this generalistic thing has very different things, like a way, for example, a person in a government sector organization will work as a generalist versus how a generalist in a corporate sector work will be very different to each other. The language they use, all of that, right? So as a result, I think there is a place for each of them. But for me, immaterial, whether you try to become a specialist or generalist, I think the key to achieving bigger than average depends on the industry you are in. Whether you are a generalist or so, it's the industry that defines your success more than either one of them in my head. I hope I answered your question to great extent.
No, makes a lot of sense, Rohan. Thank you very much.
Yeah. All right, mate. Great.
Okay, so there's another question. Does the age when we complete our academic qualifications matter? How to speed up in the race of entering the corporate world?
Okay. What age are you completing your degree?
I think around 20, 25, 10. Depends on the.
So what is the question? Can I understand? Is the person asking the age group that you're finishing your degree, does it matter?
Yes. Does the
Is
age
that the question?
Yeah. Does the age when we complete our academic qualifications matter?
No. No. It's up to you. You can do a degree later on. You can do a BSc when you're 35. You can do a BSc at 18. It's not that. I told you, like, unless you are in a STEM field, all the other degrees sound very similar. I know that people will hate me for saying that, but that's the truth nobody discusses. That's the truth nobody says. So the situation is, it's the other factors, your skill sets that you have, that really matters and really help you to shine through above that, right? To get a job and maintain a job and do that. So whether you, and organizations have the right to hire the best suited candidate, whether you have a degree or not, is a very secondary thing. Now, most of the jobs today, we don't have degrees in, like, if you want to have, like, for example, if you want to do like a game design in a software company, we don't have a proper degree right now, right? So we might hire someone who have just self-taught designing gaming or whatever. You understand, I'm giving a rough example, but organization hold the right to hire the right candidate for their job, because it is their decision. Your responsibility is to make yourself suitable better than the rest of the candidates in a competitive marketplace, right? So if you do that, rest will happen. That's what I've always done. Like, for me, my career has always been, except for my very first job, I have never sent my CV. Nobody has ever had a conversation with me on the CV, right? Nobody have ever cared about what is the degree I have. A lot of people don't even know that I'm from Katubed, right? Because the reason is, when you build your skill set and competency and other things, because what a lot of people don't know is that organizations are hungry for good talent, and in Sri Lanka, good talent is really short in supply. There are a lot of people with degrees. Don't get me wrong. There are a lot of people, even more people without jobs, but the right candidate with the right attitude, skill set, competencies, very rare to find. And they get snapped up like this by any company. Yeah. Okay. I'm going to say stuff that people don't like to hear. No, they will hate me at the end. I love it.
I think, sir, it covered Ramudu's answer. So Rahma, you can.
There's a question from Vibhakti Gunaratna.
Yeah.
When you select like-minded people, how do you promote innovative thinking?
I don't know whether I went to the extent of saying like-minded. No, I said that they will fit culturally, right? Or when I say culture, it's not Sri Lankan society culture or your home culture, right? It's about the corporate organization culture, about how we operate. There are some cultures which are very fast paced and very dynamic and very intense. There are some cultures which are like people's bank, where people go for 3 hour lunches and come back and not do anything, right? It's very different cultures, right? But like, for example, I have gone into cultures where it's very slow moving. It frustrated me so much that I had to leave. I also have worked in cultures where it's so intense that I couldn't cope up with the pressure and I have left. Right. So it's about that. It's not about like-mindedness. And also, I think a lot of people confuse what innovation is, right? Innovation is a lot of misunderstood word. There are a couple of other words: improvement and invention. Like, if I ask a lot of people what is innovation and what's the difference between invention and improvement and innovation, what's the difference between the three, a lot of people aren't even able to give me an answer, right? The innovation, something becomes innovative only when the customer decides that it is something that they are willing to pay money for. Otherwise, it's just an invention or it's an improvement. Only when a customer, your consumer, is willing to pay more money for what you did, that is an innovation. Otherwise, everything else is you can do improvements till cows come home. But if the customer, hey, I didn't ask for it, I'm not willing to pay you money for it, it's an invention. I mean, there are enough inventions we have which is not commercialized. Now, I may improve my efficiency in supply chain because it will help me to reduce my cost, but I can't improve my charging price to the customer. That's not really an innovation. So we throw this innovation word around very loosely, right? But innovation is where consumers are willing to pay more money for you, right? So what I mean is, in terms of hiring people who fit into the culture, not like-mindedness. And also, even if you by accident, I don't know whether you can ever find two people who are like-minded, because I don't ever consider that two people in the world are alike. However, even if you find that person, I don't think it hampers innovation at all. Yeah, because you, as long as you stay true to what you do and you are focusing on your customer and the marketplace, I think the innovation will happen. Yeah.
I think Vimukti would have got the answer for that question. And yes, we did also get a different perspective to look at what innovation is really.
Yeah. I got a direct message. I'll just copy paste it to everyone else. If you want to pick it up, you pick it up. Right, go ahead.
Okay, sir. So Roshni has asked, if you could have given yourself a piece of knowledge or advice when you started, what would that be? And which opportunities should you have followed? What pitfalls would you have avoided?
Sorry, would you mind repeating the question? I was just copy pasting.
Yes.
Samadhi, I'm hearing you little, your sound is little weak. So maybe just speak up a little bit if you don't mind. Sorry.
Yes. If you could have given yourself a piece of knowledge or advice, when you started, what would that be? Which opportunities should you have followed? What pitfalls would you have avoided?
Nothing. Nothing. I think it's a question that I can't answer in any way. I'm really happy with everything I have done. I'm really happy with every fall I have lost my job. I have got fired from companies. I had to fire people. I have done all of that. I've traveled. I have worked in Singapore. I have gone to multiple countries. That answer that isn't even in my head. I cannot think back and say, oh, I could have done this. No, I don't have that. I'm where I am right now, and I only look forward. I don't have anything to go back and say, oh, I should have done this better, or I made a decision. No, I think I haven't achieved like a celebrity superstar status like most of the other business leaders in the market, but for me those things add up. I can't give you an answer to that, so nothing. Sorry, it's such a bummer, no? Such a short answer. I'm sure you would have expected me a good answer. No, I don't have an answer to that. I don't know why people ask that question, because I think a lot of times people think that it is a decision you take about your career. It's not also always the ugly truth is, it's not always a decision. Sometimes it's luck. It's just being in the right place at the right time as well. Some people have it, some people don't get it. That's what it is. And sometimes we give a lot of credit to ourselves that we made this decision, we took this thing, type of thing. Not really. Sometimes it's just luck. It just happened to happen to you. You have to be in, you were in the nearby vicinity when it happened, and you benefited from it, so you take that. So I think you can't map everything out in life. When you work hard, you put yourself up there for more luck, but luck is there. That's the truth.
Yes, I think that answered Rashini's question. I think it depends on the person, so you can't give an yes. So Rahma, you can ask.
No, but it doesn't depend on the person. What do you mean by depends on the person?
The advice.
All right, okay. Yeah, I mean, I know a lot of people would go back and say, okay, 10 years ago, I wish that I did this and I did that type of thing. Okay, yeah. I don't have that. Sorry, I'm happy where I am. And I'm very grateful. Okay, go ahead.
That was one point we could learn, that we aren't supposed to regret of what is already done. That was done for the best, and that's why you're here today. So that was indeed a very insightful answer for that question. And so moving on to the question which you copy pasted over here, what is the best advice you can give for a beginner in entrepreneurship?
Ooh, I mean, I think I get asked this question a lot of times. I just did a session, I think yesterday or day before. I did a conversation about the books I read and stuff like that. I think, and this question came up on that also. Here's the thing about entrepreneurship. I don't think I want to take up this time for this forum to talk about entrepreneurship, because I'd rather we talk about a career and other stuff. But the three things I told there, and I will tell you again, is that first of all, you have to understand whether you're solving a big enough problem for a big enough audience. When I say a big enough problem, our customers feel it is such a trouble that they are willing to take their wallets out and pay you money for that, solving that problem, number one. And a big enough audience means, does that problem exist for a lot of people that you can reach? So big enough problem for big enough audience, number one. Number two is that you don't have to be in a hurry. You don't have to be an entrepreneur at 20. You can allow your structures and process, the discipline, the thinking, the network, those things to build up and work for someone else and understand how businesses, processes, things work, and then decide to be an entrepreneur. So you don't have to, there's a myth that you have to be an entrepreneur at 20 and you have to be a billionaire and a CEO by 30. That's nonsense. I mean, that's just not real. There are exceptions, but exceptions don't make the rule, right? The third part, I think is, I think entrepreneurship is not for everyone, and entrepreneurship cannot be taught. As much as people think we can learn entrepreneurship by books, and you can't. It is something very, very individual and very personal to you. Either you have it or you don't, and not everyone should become an entrepreneur. I don't know why everybody try to be an entrepreneur. It's not for everyone. Either you have it, you don't, those are the 3-4 things that I want to quickly tell you. Whoever the person, I don't think that person's name is here. Sachin, I think. Sachin, just reach out to me on social media. I'm love to grab a cup of coffee somewhere down the line and give you more details on that. Yeah.
So,
good.
Yes, thank you again for that amazing answer and addressing.
I really don't know whether this is all the answers you were expecting. Oh, am I just ruining your show? You had such a good show after.
The unexpected answers are making the show, I think, more beneficial for all our audience today.
Okay. You guys speak so formally. I'm like really confused. Very, very formal and all that. Okay, go ahead.
Okay, so Madhushani has asked a question. How can we maintain a positive, balanced mindset within our working environment and our personal life along with the workload?
Here's the thing. I think this entire work-life balance is a very interesting Western first world type of a concept that have been brought into us, and we also believe in it. I think it depends on from person to person, right? I identify myself as a workaholic, right? I identify myself as a workaholic. However, I'm married to the same person for 14 years. I have 2 children, and contrary to this thing, I feel I have perfect balance. Right? I work all 7 days. I do lectures over the weekend because that makes me happy. I'm like Friday, I'm like at 6 to 7:30. I'm here, not with my family, right? So, and I think it's very individual choice, and I think we have this unnecessary concept over this. Oh, we have to have work-life balance. We should only work this number of hours, and someone in France or someone said we should work only for 4 days a week. I think those are concepts you can have when you're like much older, and I think it's misguiding a lot of youth about what it can really takes to build a business and build a career, and that people don't understand that hours you put in counts, matters at the end. And don't get me wrong, I'm not in no way saying that don't stay healthy. Stay healthy. I mean, spend time, go to the gym, stay fit, invest your time in those things as well. Invest your time in healthy relationship with your family, with your friends. Do that. But design your life the way that balances you out. Now, the way that you design your life as balance and the way I design my life could be very different. Right? But here's the thing. If I'm working 80 hours a week, whereas you are putting in 40 hours per week, don't come and say that you have the same knowledge and the know-how and expertise and you are entitled for the same thing as I am. Right? That is not fair, because I'm just putting more hours. I'm making more sacrifices by putting those hours. Right? So for me, that's the way I look at it. It's a very individual thing. I think people tend to get a lot carried away about this work-life balance. Don't get me wrong. I am a huge advocate for staying fit, healthy, balance, relationship, quality of life, all of that. But it is something that you have to design for yourself. Someone else can't advise you on that, because I don't know your life. What are the implications? What are the responsibilities you have with your life, which from my life? I know about my life. So from my life, I said that I'm a workaholic and I'm happy. Right? That's okay for me, right? Does that answer your question? I don't think I'm gonna get good response. I know you guys are not gonna invite me back for sure.
So why would you think like that? Yes, I think it depends on the person, so you can't tell.
Yeah, exactly. But I think this concept is romanticized a lot, right? That, oh, we have to have work-life balance. A lot of people talk about this. People don't even understand what that means. And because it could be very different. But here's the thing. If you want work-life balance, but don't expect more return than someone who's putting more effort than you. Because that person is putting more effort, making a sacrifice by not spending time with whatever, but he should be rewarded in some other way. Right? So it's not equal outcome. That's what I want to highlight.
Yes, exactly. I think it depends on the person.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I think these are stuff you guys should be thinking about when you're older, not 25. I don't know why you're not thinking about this stuff. Okay.
We have a question from Malshi. So, what type of business should we go to get the first experience? So, from which place we should start the journey, the position?
Good boss. Good man. Good boss. I said that at the beginning, right? Your first job, or even the first 5 to 10 years of your life, it's not the company, it's not the role you work. A lot of times we have this mandate, we want to work for these huge companies and become management trainees or whatever. You're just become a dot in this huge ocean flows, nobody pays attention, you do absolute crap job which doesn't have a huge learning curve or whatever. No, go for a place where a great boss, invest his time and mentor you, coach you, guide you, as well as you get to do a lot of different things, because sometimes you can't figure out what you like. So you can decide what you like in 2 ways: by doing what you like and figuring out, or doing things you don't like and saying, I don't want to do that. I think the easier way when you're young is to do a lot of things and decide, okay, I don't like that, this is what I like, type of thing. Right? So I think that is what at your age you all should be doing. going out, putting yourself out there, doing all kinds of weird things. I don't know whether some of the people know this. I worked in PETA for about 2 months. I have walked on every road of PETA, meeting all the merchants, all the shop owners in PETA, Main Street to Prince Street to First Cross Street, everywhere. Slave Island. I have worked as a nightclub DJ, right? So I've done all kinds of weird jobs at very early on. But what you don't realize is that when I look back, some of the skill set and things that I have learned came from doing all kinds of random stuff. Right? Today, everybody wants to be a management trainee and a CEO by 30. And that is just not the way it works.
So that is a question which most of us have about where do we start, and so I think
you start with a great place where you learn. Your priority should be in the first 10 years about exposure and learn and doing different things, not anything else. Now, here I want to give you this disclaimer. If you're pressed for money, if you don't have, and if you have a challenge, and not everyone can afford to do that, right? Because sometimes when you select these things, sometimes you may not make as much money. So if you have financial situation, I understand there are exceptions to all of this. But if you don't have that pressure, that is what you should do. Yeah.
Then we have another question from we have a comment from Manshit saying thank you very much, Rohan, for asking the question. Okay, you're welcome, Manshi. And we're going to move on to the next question. What are the books you read, Mr. Rohan? As you mentioned, anything significant that we all should try?
Okay, here's the thing. Listen, I didn't come here with this intent, right? There's a 1 hour, right, where there's a group called Pick a Book, right? I did a session for 1 hour talking through my entire 40 years of evolution with books, starting from Kulasena Fonseca's all the way up to Hardy Boys, Three Investigators, Asterix, Tintin, Clive Cussler, Tom Clancy's, all the way up to today, the management books and the things I like and all of that type of thing. If you want, it's on YouTube, it's on Facebook. I have just posted it on my Facebook page. Just listen to that, mate. You will have all the answers and more in that conversation. I don't want to take 10 minutes to explain about all those books I read and how I read and all that. So right now I read books 3 ways. I read books in Kindle. I read books, the normal physical book, and I listen to books 2x speed on Audible. So at any given time, I consume about 2 or 3 books at the same time. I said that for people to understand that you don't have to read books the same way that you think, right? People think that it's about buying a book or going to a library, taking a book, and it's not. You don't have to do like that. You have so many options. And the other thing I said is today, more than reading books, today now I'm tilting towards listening to podcasts. While I work, I have podcasts running in the background that is really interesting. And All for One is a great podcast where Chamit Paliyapiti gets featured. He talks about a lot of very interesting things, and the things they talk about is really interesting. So yeah, that's the answer to that, Kisal. Sachinda, no problem, anytime. She just thanked me. That's good. No questions, no? Nobody has questions for me.
So do you have an advice to give to all of us as young undergraduates?
I mean, here, you guys have I'm so jealous that I'm not 20 plus, right? Because the stuff you guys have, I never had. I didn't have smartphones. I didn't have Zoom. I didn't have YouTube. I did not have Coursera. I didn't have half the things you guys, not half, I have absolutely zero. I got my first computer when I was like 23 or something, 22, 23. I got my first phone. By the way, I worked and got my first mobile phone. I think at about 20 something, it was a black and white Nokia phone. So the reason why I'm saying is that you can choose to be a victim, and you can choose to say that I don't have this or whatever, or you can wake up and say, listen, I have all this opportunity and I can make something out of myself, right? I think it's that hunger and passion that drives and makes you better, not the tools or the systems that is available for you, right? And I think today, people with great attitude, great skill set, all, as I said, they're never out of jobs, right? You all have people with that attitude and the skill set always wanted. If not one company, there are companies lining up to hire you. Always ask yourself, how am I making myself valuable for an organization? It's not about you in that instance, it's about the organization. But the way that you make yourself good for them is by asking yourself, how do I make myself better? What do I need to reach? What do I need to consider? What do I like? I'll said this also. A lot of people don't know. I couldn't speak English till I was 22. I have not had any formal English education, right? Other than O-level English, right? I don't think you guys can believe that, right? A lot of people would think that I came from a background where my parents spoke English and that's why I could speak. It's not that. If you want something badly enough, you do what you need to do to get there. So I would like people to have that mentality about, what do I need to do today to make myself better, so that I become relevant, I become important, I become something that other people want as well. So it's about looking towards you more than looking outward. Today, a lot of times, I think the world has given you permission to think about outside, the bigger problems, bigger things and stuff like that, which is great. It makes you popular among friends. It's nice social media post, but at the end, nothing happens. Yeah, that is just my opinion.
Yes, I think that was a very informative response, and I think it added value to all of our lives. And this concludes the session, and that was a very comprehensive and detailed session, sir. So thank you so much for your time and effort to make today a success. And we do believe all of our participants who have got their questions and concerns answered, and we are all eagerly waiting to join the corporate world with confidence.
Yeah, high hopes for you guys. By the way, I have seen your university. A couple of your staff members have asked me now multiple times to come and I've done some work with. And I think Kalani University is a very progressive university. You may not say that, so I think you are in a really good place. And I think I really look forward to. I actually the head of finance of the previous company I worked for. She's from University of Kalani. And she called me up and she said, "Hey, listen, I heard you're speaking at my university," type of thing. And I was like, we were making a bit of a fun out of that situation. So I think you have some really good alumni, really good place. So I really look forward to seeing you guys, and good luck. Help is always there. Reach out to me. I would love to connect with anybody who wants to be connected. So thank you so much. Really appreciate it. I think people are dropping off. Tomorrow's exam as well, is it?
Yes. For the Faculty of Science.
Okay, no problem. Thanks a lot, guys.
So finally, we welcome all of you to on your cameras to take the group picture. So while everyone is joining, let me recall about our valuable sponsors of Project Overcome.
S&D Chemicals is solely a Sri Lankan industrial chemical manufacturing company. We have grown rapidly during the last 20 years, and today our manufacturing processes include synthesis, intermediates, and ready-to-use products in the fields of textile auxiliaries, garment wet processing, cleaning and sanitation auxiliaries for healthcare and hospitality, and food processing. S&D Chemicals, your trusted chemicals solution provider for a sustainable future.
Our platinum sponsor for this project is S&D Associates for all your chemical solutions. We've dropped the link in the chat box. Go visit their page to get the chemical solutions, including the sanitizer, which is an essential in the current situation. Our gold sponsor, Vision Care. Are you worried about your vision? Well, now we could get a better view with Vision Care spectacles, and they also have sunglasses, lenses, and hearing aids. Go check their page as well using the link in the chat box. Not to forget our valuable gift partners, Dil Gift House, Memo Lane, and Patakasel. So go visit their pages as well to get your beautiful gift items for your loved ones, as well as get a treat to yourself too. So it seems like everyone has their cameras on and keep smiling. Let's take the pic on the count of 3. 3, 2, and 1.
Sir, can you please switch on your camera? Yes, thank you.
Thank you everyone for the photo. It was very lovely. And thank you so much, sir, for all of your valuable guidance, time, and effort. We would also want to thank all of the participants who attended today's session, as well as our generous sponsors. We also like to express our gratitude to everyone who helped us in various ways and always willing to support us at any time.
That concludes the project Overcome, and we believe we were able to hold up your dreams in achieving the destination of success in your professional life. Thank you all and wish you an amazing journey ahead.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you, sir.
Samantha, will you give me a call at the end?
Yes, sir. Sure, I will.
Okay, thanks. Thanks, guys. Bye. Good night.
Bye.
Good night, sir. Thank you.
Pleasure, guys.